Hi again everyone, I hope you are all doing really well. I thought it was time I did a video revisiting a stock that I covered a few times in the last fortnight, that being Marin Software, or ticker symbol MRIN. So Marin Software shares fell 0.28% or 4 cents per share during Tuesday's trade, closing off at $14.41. This was after opening the day at the $15.32 mark. Interestingly, aftermarket trade saw Marin Software regain 4 cents on its closing price and finish the day flat. Prices leapt at the open to as high as $17.96 per share and hit a low mark of $14.15. In total, there were 12,152,000 shares traded on the day. This reflects a significant decrease from their 30-day average of 68,953,000. Which, to be fair, has been very much influenced by the high trading earlier on in the last fortnight. Now, Marin Software's jump of 20% at the open of trade yesterday was super interesting when you consider most markets opened on a soft note due to the continued poor news around inflation. Now, I've said this before on here, I think the inflation trajectory is going to be much more dire than the central bankers around the world are letting on, but that is another story. Anyway, Marin Software seems to be slowly fading back to lower price points with each day of trade. The much touted short squeeze among retail investors seems to be disappearing with every trading session. Or is it? This is what I want to look at as part of my analysis of the stock in this video. I would like to make the point that other than a single buy and sell trade yesterday, I have been avoiding trading the stock largely in recent days, and it is not one that I am trying to accrue for my portfolio, so this video is mainly just based on observations. Like with all my videos, the information presented is not intended as financial advice and is just my reflections and opinions on the stock. Anyway, let's get into the video. So looking at this 15-minute candle chart for the past 2 weeks, the current share price of $14.41 seems to be a point where we could potentially establish a new normal stock price, as it is a mark the stock has been coming to in the last 2 trading days, and even spent a bit of time hovering around this point in earlier trading sessions prior to its rocketing breakout. Mark there, even there. Then you can see in this band here, there's a bit of close trade to the mark there in the earlier trade before this rise. Marin Software has generally continued the bite and hold pattern of the share price opening at the start of the day and then soon having a large correction before finding a more normal range of trade for the day. It actually makes this chart look a little like the squiggly lines you used to draw as a kid to symbolize birds flying in the sky. Not really. On many occasions, this opening pattern has led to a large leap or plummet in price, which can be hard to keep up with and predict at times, and has made me cool on the prospect of targeting this stock for day trading, especially in the early parts of the session, as you can see by these big movements that you see at the start of each session. However, it is perhaps worth noting that the big jumps in price seem to be becoming less pronounced, which I think is partly due to the decline in volume and interest in the stock. So you can see the stock has a flatter trading line here, whereas these earlier ones, it's more up and down. Just really quickly to illustrate the trading volume decline with MRIN, I've documented this before, but it has very much dried up compared to the hot activity it was experiencing around a week ago. These high towers over here, and you can see it's basically disappeared along here. It hardly registers. You may be wondering what the yellow coloring I've added to the chart is. This is what is referred to as Bollinger Bands, which I will talk about very briefly now. So I have added Bollinger Bands to the same period of trade for Marin Software that I have been looking at. I removed the volume so the movements can be more detailed in the diagram. Without going into detail about how Bollinger Bands are used in a general sense, I'll just quickly explain how I'm using them with Marin Software. Basically, what I'm looking for is moments when the stock price falls below the lower band, if it is trading in a downward movement. So over here and over here. Good examples. Over here. Or when it falls onto the center line or moving average mark during a positive trend. So over here, over here. Just like when the RSI falls below 30, Candlesticks falling below these points for their respective trends represent a potential good buying point for the stock. As you can see early on, each time it has reached this point, the price has rebounded up not long after. Since I've been day trading this stock, that is what I'm looking for. However, this has increasingly not occurred, which causes me to think there is a loss of momentum and sentiment towards the stock. We're not seeing much bounce back up here. Today it's basically just followed the bottom line, even started up here. Okay, and even yesterday it just sort of fell towards the bottom band. So I've generally called on trading the stock, and its movements are a bit too risky and volatile for my liking. Just for a quick comparison, here is a chart for Exceler stock, a stock I have been preferring to day trade lately that has similar characteristics to MRIN. Those characteristics include being a short squeeze candidate, relatively popular with retail and Reddit crowds, and has had some positive developments for their offerings, but is still yet to have produced any materially important turnaround to their financials to support their rise. In fact, at this stage, barring the unstable price levels, I actually think Marin Software is a better company to hold if looking for longer term stocks to add to your portfolio. But my point here is I think Exceler is currently presenting the better day trading opportunities. As you can see, there is still strong volume for Exceler at the moment, still being quite strong down here, particularly yesterday and the day before. This volume has comparably dried up a lot with Marin Software. Also, looking at the patterns regarding the Bollinger Bands, there have been healthier trading opportunities with this stock, particularly with its current upward pattern in price movement, as can be seen on Friday and during yesterday's trade. So here's a point, here's a point, here's a point here. Also, the movement in prices for Exceler Technologies is a little bit more fluid when you compare it to the jumping around and bite and hold patterns that we've been seeing with Marin Software. So with Marin Software, is the short squeeze over? So Marin was initially a target for a short squeeze. However, I suspect with the downward price movement the stock has experienced, many were able to get out of their expensive to hold short positions. Following yesterday's trade, Marin Software has actually had its short interest skyrocket. As you can see, it's number 3 on our chart down here. It has now jumped to a outstanding short float position of 47.73%. When I looked at this chart pre-Monday, Marin Software had fallen off the list altogether, meaning the short interest had fallen below 23%, as that was the lowest score for a stock on this list at the time. So this could mean that there is again the potential for a powerful short squeeze with this stock. The volume of trade for Marin in shorts has actually remained steady, with around 1/3 of all trades being short sells. Also, the borrow fee rate is still quite high at 158%. It's worth pointing out though that while being still quite high, this figure is a drop from the 220%, which was the most expensive point for the Marin short borrow fee rate last week. However, 158% is really high, and to put that in perspective, if you consider other short squeeze favourites such as AMC, that stock only has a borrow fee of less than 2%. Today I think the fee I saw was about 1.13%. So Marin Software is still one of the most expensive stocks to hold an outstanding short position in. So when you take the extremely small share float for Marin Software, its small market capitalization, as well as the extremely high cost to borrow when holding a short position, it is actually a prime stock candidate for a squeeze. It would not take much to drive up the price and apply the squeeze to this stock, but I think the company's small size and relative obscurity does hurt the chances of this occurring. Either way, if it happens or not, it will still be quite amazing to see. I love a good short squeeze, even if I'm not going to be a part of it. But you know, if it's looking like happening again, I may jump back into the stock. I have to wait and see. So my final thoughts on Marin Software. The potential for a short squeeze, as I just pointed out, is still very strong. I have to reiterate, it has a very small market cap and outstanding share float, and such a high figure of it is currently shorted. So it is prime. And that also means that the price can move very quickly because of that small overall share float. Presently, the stock appears to be correcting from its highs of last week. That could mean we may see further decline. There looks like a small pattern of a stabilizing in price occurring, but it's really hard to tell at this point. It's only been 2 days, and the way this stock's been trading, it could go either way any day, which is one of the reasons why I've kind of stopped trading it from a day trading perspective. Also, finally, fundamentally, the stock still appears overvalued. Another one of the main reasons why I'm not adding it to my portfolio for the longer term. At this stage, I'm going to keep watching the stock to see if it does become more suitable to day trade again, and we'll definitely keep an eye out to see if there is a renewed chance of the short squeeze taking place again. I think there was a little bit of a squeeze action last week, which is why we saw the outstanding short interest make it register less than 23% and not make that list that I referred to. The numbers are there for the short squeeze. The stock, I think, just needs some sort of catalyst to drive it home, either a re-sparked interest from retail traders or some positive company news, preferably both. That would get the short squeeze in action, I think, again. But you know, we just have to wait and see what happens. Anyway, everyone, that is it for me on this video with Marin Software. I hope you found this interesting. If so, please give the video a like. Also, if you would like to see more videos of me covering stocks that I'm interested in, please subscribe to the channel. I do try to get a new video out each day. Until next time, may the markets trade in your favor. Cheers. See ya.